Good morning and happy Friday. This is The Connector, Idaho Daily News from Boise State Public Radio. This morning, a man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students will not be able to avoid the death penalty due to a recent autism diagnosis. Boise State now has an interim president. The citizen group trying to get abortion rights to the statewide ballot in 2026 appears before the Supreme Court today. And we visit the NFL draft, where Boise State star Ashton Jeanty made school history last night. It is a very busy Friday. Glad you're listening to The Connector this morning. I'm Troy Oppie, in for George Prentice. We start this morning at Boise City Hall, where Mayor Lauren McLean says continuing to fly unapproved flags is not an act of defiance against a new state law, but is, quote, an act of duty. McLean Thursday released a 2-page letter responding to a previous letter from State Attorney General Raul Labrador that threatened consequences for violating the new code that restricts local governments from flying any but a short list of approved flags. Boise has not pulled down a progress flag since the new law took effect and has also recently raised an organ donor flag. Neither are approved in the new legislation. Law enforcement and the AG both concur that the law, as written, does not provide a method of enforcement. McLean says the city views the law as unenforceable as well. Labrador, though, threatened possible civil legal action. McLean's response says that would be acting in bad faith, and the city would respond with legal action of its own. A recent autism diagnosis is not enough to get Bryan Kohberger out of a potential death penalty. Ada County Judge Stephen Hippler ruled late Thursday that a diagnosis of mild autism without accompanying intellectual impairment did not meet the standard of disqualifying potential capital punishment. Kohberger is accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in an off-campus residence in November 2022. His trial, moved to Ada County, is set to begin with jury selection in late July. Kohberger's attorneys are also challenging the death penalty in a separate and still outstanding motion based on an accusation that investigators and prosecutors have mishandled evidence. It was a big night for Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty at the NFL draft in Green Bay.
With the 6th pick in the 2025 NFL draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Ashton Jeanty, running back, Boise State.
The cheering there from the Boise State locker room at the team's watch party here in town. Jeanty will join new Raiders head coach Pete Carroll and offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. Carroll coached Marshawn Lynch in Seattle, a player Jeanty has been compared with and whom he watched as a kid.
Even, growing up, Marshawn was one of the, the first backs I started watching and, looking up to. So, definitely just breaking tackles, making, crazy plays down the field. There's a lot of similarities there.
He'll get nearly $32 million guaranteed in his rookie contract, according to reports. Salaries are slotted by draft position based on the rookie wage scale. Jeanty is the highest draft pick of a Boise State player ever, 6 spots higher than Ryan Clady was in 2008. He's also the 6th Bronco taken in the first round of the NFL draft and the 73rd drafted overall, but certainly not the last. Bronco defensive tackle Ahmed Hassanein is a potential draft pick coming up on Saturday in rounds 4 through 7. He could be the first Egyptian-born player to be drafted in the NFL. An Idaho native was also picked in the top 10 yesterday. Gooding's Colston Loveland, the Michigan tight end, was taken 10th overall by the Chicago Bears. Loveland was Idaho's Gatorade Player of the Year in 2021 at Gooding. He's since been a 2-time All-Big Ten Conference player who declared for the NFL after his junior season. Boise State Vice President for Student Affairs and Enrollment Management, Jeremiah Shin, will serve as the school's interim president as Dr. Marlene Tromp prepares to depart her office to take an equivalent role at the University of Vermont. Shin has been at Boise State since 2010 in various roles. He left for 3.5 years to be VP of Student Affairs at Louisiana State University before returning to Boise in 2023. Shin was named to the role by State Board of Education President Kurt Liebig. He'll be formally appointed by the full board at a later date. The university plans to work with a search firm to replace Tromp. The job, though, has not officially yet been posted. More More than $184 million is on the line for Idaho Public Schools in next month's election. Our James Dawson breaks it down.
$150 million of that total would go toward building 3 new schools in Filer, Middleton, and Shelley school districts. Filer wants to use some of its proposed $52 million to also renovate its high school football and track fields, along with upgrading its career technical center. Shelley also wants a new career tech facility in addition to the planned new high school. All 3 of those bonds require 2/3 approval from voters. The remaining $34.2 million comes in the form of supplemental levies from 24 school districts. Nearly all of them plan to use the money to pay for teacher and staff salaries. As Idaho Education News reports, if Wes Bonner's $4.7 million levy fails, it will have to close 2 elementary schools in addition to closing a junior high school last year. Supplemental levies just need a simple majority to pass. Voters head to the polls May 20th. James Dawson, Boise State Public Radio News.
May 20th will not be Election Day for every Idaho voter. Some counties, including Blaine, Lemhi, Custer, Elmore, and Washington, do not have any issues to put before voters and are thus not participating in Election Day. Some counties will have only a few taxing districts that have active ballot measures. The Secretary of State's office encourages voters to plan ahead by checking for your sample ballot at voteidaho.gov. The citizen group trying to get abortion rights on the statewide ballot in 2026 will appear before the Idaho Supreme Court today, arguing that ballot and description language proposed by the state attorney general's office is biased and incorrect. Idahoans United for Women and Families sued in January over the ballot titles. The group also says a fiscal impact description crafted by the AG's office wrongly implies the initiative, if passed, would increase Medicaid and corrections spending. Oral arguments begin at 10 a.m. this morning. A ruling could come later. The group has until next April 30th to gather the required numbers of signatures needed to get the initiative to the November 2026 general election ballot. Boise's air quality has slightly improved since last year, while other areas in Idaho are ranking nationally for high pollution levels. Jamie Geary has more on a national study.
This week, the American Lung Association published its annual State of the Air report. The report measures amounts of ozone and particle pollution in the atmosphere. Individual and clustered groups of cities are measured on a grade scale of A to F. The Boise and Mountain Home area scored an F this year, making Boise part of the 77 million Americans living in the lowest grade air quality. Last year, it was ranked nationally as the 17th worst in the country for daily particle pollution. This year's report no longer ranks Boise and Mountain Home in the top 25. It says Idaho's overall particle pollution has decreased, but the Spokane and Coeur d'Alene areas have become the 11th worst in the country. The association says serious shifts in particle pollution in the West are causing the pollution list to change. Boise and Mountain Home are one of 8 areas removed from the top 25 this year. The report says high levels of ozone and particle pollution increase risks of respiratory and cardiovascular diseases among adults, and cognitive impairments in young children. This year, the group's recommendations don't include federal policy for the current administration to implement. Instead, it's calling on state, city, and community agencies to, quote, defend Environmental Protection Agency staff and funding. Jamie Geary, Boise State Public Radio News.
Idaho's unemployment rate stayed steady in March at 3.7%. That's slightly higher than 1 year ago, according to a report this week from the State Department of Labor. Idaho's labor force, that's how many people are working or looking for work, actually shrank last month. That's just the second month that's happened since April of 2021, according to previous data releases. A State Department of Labor spokesman says the decrease was not a consequential drop. More than 17,000 people have joined the state's labor force since March of 2024, and more than 111,000 new workers are in Idaho since this time 4 years ago. Checking local unemployment rates, Caldwell's is higher than the state average at 4.2%. It's 3.5% in Twin Falls, 3.5% in Eagle. Boise is at 3.2% unemployment. And a couple of notes on our local highways. Highway 95 between Council and New Meadows is expected to reopen to traffic on Monday. That's sooner than the Idaho Transportation Department expected to be able to repair the road damaged in a landslide last month. They do say some short-term lane closures could still be needed in that spot as roadside and guardrail work continues. And a delay to the interim traffic light being installed on Highway 55 at Banks-Loman Road. ITD previously said it would turn that new signal on this week. That's being rescheduled to begin May 5th. That's the Connector for Friday, April 25th. Hope you enjoyed the sunshine during the work week. We have scattered showers in the forecast for much of our listening area and cooler temperatures from Saturday to Sunday. The Connector is a production of Boise State Public Radio News. Our news director is Sasha Woodruff. Our digital strategy manager is Lacey Daly. Our general manager is Tom Michael. I'm Troy Oppie. Have a great weekend.